We talk to people all day, every day, but how many of those conversations actually click? How many of them leave you feeling genuinely connected? Well, today we're going to dive into the work of Charles Duhigg to unlock the secrets of what he calls super communicators. These are the people who can turn pretty much any chat into a real, meaningful connection.
I mean, how perfect is that? Anne Morrow Lindbergh just nails it here. A truly great conversation leaves you buzzing, right? You're energized, your mind is racing with new ideas. It's an amazing feeling. And the best part is, it's a skill. It's something anyone can learn.
We've all been on both sides of this, haven't we? On the one hand, you have those conversations that just feel like a total chore. They're awkward, they're draining, you're stuck in that endless loop of small talk. But on the other side, you have super communication. These are the conversations that are so deep and engaging that an hour can feel like 5 minutes. Our goal today is to figure out how to steer any conversation from that left side over to the right.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about what it even means to be a super communicator. Then we'll get into the 4 essential skills, figuring out if someone needs help or just wants to be heard, this cool technique called looping for understanding, the art of asking deep questions, and finally, how to share a little of yourself to really seal the deal.
So, what exactly is a super communicator? Well, it's basically someone who has this incredible ability to make other people feel genuinely seen and heard. They have a way of drawing you in, helping you connect with your own best ideas, and building real connections. And it's not magic, it's a set of skills they've probably picked up through years of practice.
Okay, let's get to the most foundational skill of all. Honestly, this is where most conversations go completely off the rails. Before you can connect with anyone, you have to figure out what kind of conversation you're even having. This is the question you have to ask yourself right at the start. Because in those first few seconds, the other person is sending signals about what they actually need from you. And it almost always boils down to one of 2 things.
So, are they looking for a practical conversation? Meaning, do they want your help, your advice, a solution, or is it an emotional conversation where all they really want is to be heard and understood? The biggest mistake we all make is jumping in with solutions when someone is just trying to share an emotion. That mismatch, it's the fastest way to shut down a real connection. So, you've sensed it. This isn't a problem-solving conversation, it's an emotional one. They just want to be heard. So, how do you actually do that well? Well, the number one technique is something called looping for understanding. Now, looping is way more than just nodding your head and saying, uh-huh. It's an active process. It's designed to prove to the other person that you are locked in and that you're really listening. It breaks down into 3 simple steps that build a ton of trust and make it safe for them to open up. And it's so simple. It's beautiful. Step 1, you ask a broad question to get them started. Like, so what's that been like for you? Step 2, you listen, and then you repeat back what you heard, but in your own words. You might say, okay, so it sounds like you're feeling totally stretched thin because. And then step 3, and this is the magic part, you verify. You ask, does that sound right? Getting them to say, yes, that's it. That's where the connection happens. And this quote just perfectly captures why looping works. You can't fake it. You can't be half listening or scrolling on your phone because you know that little pop quiz is coming up where you have to prove you heard them. It forces you to give them your complete, undivided attention. Okay, so looping is your secret weapon for when you need to hear someone. But what if you want to be more proactive? What if you want to build a connection from scratch, maybe with someone you just met? That is where asking deep questions comes into play. Think about it. Most of our questions are just for collecting data, right? Where are you from? What do you do? But a deep question is different. It's designed to blow right past the facts and get to someone's feelings, their values, their unique experiences. It's basically a shortcut to a real conversation. Let's look at this example because it's night and day. A surface question is, how long have you worked there? You'll get a number. A deep question is, do you love doing that? Whoa. One gets you a fact. The other invites them to share a passion, a feeling, maybe even a frustration. It just instantly takes the conversation to a whole new level. So how do you come up with these kinds of questions in the moment? Well, here's a little cheat sheet. Just aim for one of these 3 universal targets. Ask them about their dreams for the future, about a really powerful or elevated experience from their past, or about their passions, what they just get totally fired up about. Okay, so you've done it. You asked a great deep question and they've actually opened up to you. That's awesome. But don't stop there. There is one final, absolutely critical step you have to take to really solidify that trust you're building. It's called reciprocating vulnerability. It might sound a bit academic, but all it really means is this. When someone shares something personal with you, they've made themselves a little bit vulnerable. The way to honor that is to briefly match it with a relevant personal story of your own. It sends a powerful signal that says, hey, you're not alone in that feeling. There's this great example in the book about a super communicator named Felix. When a guy mentioned he was having trouble with his daughter, Felix didn't offer advice. He didn't say, oh, you should try this. He just shared a quick story about an aunt he always struggled with. See? He matched the feeling of a difficult relationship, and that created an instant bond. Now, here's the golden rule. You have to keep your story brief and to the point. The whole goal is to make them feel understood, not to hijack the conversation, make it all about you. You're just there to play a quick supporting role. And underneath all of these techniques, there's one simple habit that fuels everything: pure curiosity. And get this, the data is kind of mind-blowing. Researchers found that supercommunicators ask 10 to 20 times more questions than the rest of us. They are just fundamentally more interested in understanding than they are in talking. So let's wrap all this up into a simple blueprint you can take with you. First things first, figure out, is this a help or a hear conversation? If they need to be heard, use looping. If you want to build a connection, start asking deep questions. And when they share something personal, remember to reciprocate that vulnerability with a small story of your own. Look, none of these skills are rocket science, but they are incredibly powerful. They can literally change your relationships at work, with your family, with your friends. So the only real question left is, which conversation are you going to transform first?